Most of my 11 fans know that I'm a sucker for layered and textured dials. Steep rehots, sunken subdials, guilloche patterns, exotic materials, give me everything. Even if visible only from up close, sitting comfortably in my chair and leisurely studying a dial through the loop is one of the best parts of the hobby for me. Italian microbrand Gravithin's latest release is therefore a watch I am very happy to be able to review. The case of the Focuscope measures 40mm at the base with an unusual 1mm taper towards the crystal. Also taking into account the partially hidden lugs construction, this is a watch designed with average wristed people in mind. The 11mm thickness helps with giving the Focuscope a very compact design, and I like how the grooves on the side of the case announce the layered theme of the watch. The push-pull crown sports a couple of grooves as well, and those ridges are more than welcome as this is one of the smallest crowns I've ever seen. Not particularly pleasant and easy to interact with, it will only serve the purpose of setting the time, as hand winding is out of the question. That, of course, means adding power to it can only be done via the famous Seiko shuffle, except this is not a Seiko caliber powering the watch, but one of my favorite Miyota 9039 movements one can peer at underneath the Sapphire exhibition porthole carved into the case back. By screwing it in, Gravithin have managed to achieve an impressive 100 meters of water resistance, planting the Focuscope firmly into the sports watch territory. Before moving on to the dial, I believe it's worth noting that this watch is offered in both standard and PVD coated stainless steel. There is a total of 3 different layouts to choose from, the main differentiator being the color of the central ring. The variant I'm holding is the Cosmo Red, and it is probably the best option to showcase the layers that give this watch its unique character. The dial is delimited by a copper ring sporting delicate indentations that serve as a second track, and working our way in from the edge, we meet a couple of steel plates, of which one is partially obscured, separated by the accent ring. The contrast here is provided both by color and texture, as the slick surface of the red ring stands out against the gravelly matte texture of the discs it interacts with. I just wrote interaction, and I realize this is the best word to describe what this timepiece's different textures and materials do. Too many times I've seen watches where parts are huddled together without any semblance of coherence, so I have to applaud Gravithin for choosing the best means to creating a watch congruent with its concept. There is just a tiny element threatening to throw Focuscope's balance off, and I'm subjectively talking about the Roman numerals, but they're so unobtrusive and tastefully done that I've become quite fond of them. Who knew Roman numerals can look so modern? Also, of course, they have their place on any Italian watch. Serving as a canvas for the tastefully minimal amount of printed text, the dial's main point of reference is a delicate slice carved from the fabled Monionalusta meteorite. As a side note, this is the most affordable watch that I know of that incorporates this unique material, but more on that later. Coming back to the dial of the Focuscope, it plays host to a pair of really nice and original hands whose shape reminds me of the tip of a spear. Despite being cut from gunmetal grey stainless steel, both the hours and the minutes hands get enough separation from the meteorite portion of the dial to ensure great legibility, thanks to adequate length and large white lume veneers. Speaking of lume, I can finally talk about the flat sapphire crystal that not only ensures good legibility thanks to its AR coating, but also hosts a painted BGW9 lume circle interrupted by pill-shaped hour markers. This might just be the most innovative use of a lume compound I've ever seen and brings such satisfactory balance to the watch. The cheeky way the red seconds hand sticks its tip out from under this unusual hour track is a particular highlight, just as is the sight of the pattern in pitch black darkness. Despite its 40mm case, I would say this watch is rather aimed at those of you with slender wrists, as it wears closer to 38mm due to the taper and the short lug-to-lug distance. Unfortunately, the bandolier style bracelet was not available for this review unit, so I only got to wear the watch on its Italian leather strap. While of great quality, the leather strap came with an issue. Its padding slightly lifts the watch off the wrist. You can see the creases I made on the leather by trying to tame it, but to no better outcome. So once again, I used my documented ability to mix and match, and I found on the bottom of a drawer a cheap strap I bought on AliExpress, and dare I say it, the result is spectacular. First of all, its thin construction helps the watch stick to the wrist. Then, by matching the meteorite center of the dial, it creates a welcome counterpoint to the black PVD coating while still being integrated in the overall theme. For anyone thinking about mixing and matching, a word of caution. Due to the relative short distance between the spring bars and the case, not every strap will fit. However, this is a minor inconvenience when considering most owners will probably opt for wearing the Focuscope on the bracelet. Not only is the bracelet's style congruent to the overall aesthetics of the watch, its construction makes it look like it's integrated, very similar to Mido's approach on their all-dial series. Speaking of the Swatch Group brand, I would have liked if Gravithin would have replicated a trick they used on the same range, scalloping the sides of the case and creating the illusion of an even thinner watch. And looking at the Italian microbrand's previous model, they certainly have the skills to pull it off. Gravithin have announced a great discount available for the first 48 hours of the Focuscope launch. As I stated earlier, taking advantage of this discount will give their customers the opportunity to buy the most affordable watch incorporating a sliver of Monionalusta meteorite. There are 3 color variants to choose from, and my pick of the bunch would be the silver. I'm curious, which one is your favorite, so I would love to read about it in the comments section. So, is this a watch you should ignore, consider, shortlist, or just buy? The verdict depends on your answers to a couple of questions. First, do you like the watch? Is originality and exclusivity at the top of your priorities? If so, then the least you should do is shortlist the Focuscope. During the 2 weeks I have spent wearing it, I came to the conclusion the manufacturing of the watch is on par with its design. Gravithin is an already established microbrand run by an accountable watch enthusiast, so any potential issue is guaranteed to be dealt with in the most professional manner. The second question is, do you have $425 to spend now? If the answer is yes, and if you like the Focuscope, then my recommendation is to just go ahead and buy it on its launch discount. I'm struggling to identify similarly spec'd watches available for the price, let alone timepieces with a design as striking and original. If, however, you're more into classic designs, you might want to wait for my review of the Zelos Swordfish Field Watch, or check out any of the reviews that popped on your screen. I would be grateful for the small effort needed to like this video and subscribe to my channel, enabling me to help you get the watch you want.